The ancient Egyptians were among the most extraordinary civilizations of the ancient world. When it came to art, architecture, and science, they were centuries ahead of their time, so advanced, in fact, that modern historians still can't fully grasp the source of their knowledge. Even today, many of their discoveries remain unsolved puzzles that leave researchers scratching their heads. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 15 of the most incredible finds of ancient Egypt that continue to amaze, perplex, and inspire us. Let's start this list with Number 15. Temple of Buto discovery. In November 2022, archaeologists working at the ancient Temple of Buto in Egypt's Kafr el-Sheikh Governorate made an important discovery. The excavation, led by the Supreme Council of Antiquities, revealed the remains of a columned hall that sheds new light on the architectural structure of the temple complex. Though the temple likely began during the New Kingdom, it reached its full expression in the Site period. Among the finds were 3 partially preserved columns shaped like papyrus stalks, as well as a limestone crypt, likely used to store votive offerings. A slab depicting a bird-headed deity wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt was also found, possibly representing the goddess Nekhbet or Mut. The temple spans over 11 acres and is surrounded by a massive brick enclosure. While excavations are still underway, this new evidence enhances our understanding of religious life and sacred architecture in the Nile Delta. Each layer of stone brings the world of ancient Egypt into clearer view, one carved fragment at a time. Number 14. Double statue of Horemheb and Amenia. The British Museum houses a striking double statue of Pharaoh Horemheb and his wife Amenia, yet for years both the figures and the statue's origin remained a mystery. Acquired in 1839 from the Anastasi collection, its provenance was unclear. Experts suspected it came from Saqqara based on similar sculptures found there. The real breakthrough came in 2009 when archaeologists discovered a missing fragment, 3 clasped hands in the burial chamber of Horemheb and Amenia. A plaster cast of that fragment matched perfectly with the damaged statue, finally confirming both identities. The sculpture shows the couple seated on a throne supported by lion legs, dressed in long tunics with the stylized wigs common in the 18th dynasty. The way Amenia clasps both of her husband's hands is unlike anything else found from that era. It's not just a beautiful work of art, it captures intimacy, partnership, and a rare level of emotional expression that continues to speak volumes about their bond and status. Number 13. Seated scribe. There are thousands of finds, but among the most lifelike ones from ancient Egypt is the seated scribe, which stands out not just for its artistry but for its enduring mystery. It was unearthed in 1850 at Saqqara, near the Serapeum, and dates back to the 5th or possibly 4th dynasty, making it over 4,400 years old. The figure, carved from limestone and painted with vivid precision, captures a scribe in the act of writing, cross-legged and focused. What makes the sculpture especially striking are its eyes. Crafted from rock crystal and magnesite, they seem to follow you, giving the statue an eerie sense of presence. Wooden nipples, an odd but intentional detail, add to the realism. While the identity of the man remains uncertain, some scholars have compared the features to Perer, a high-ranking official from that period. The statue once sat on a semicircular base that likely included his name, now lost. Even without it, this work reflects the value Egyptians placed on knowledge, record-keeping, and the scribe's role in society. Number 12. Temple of Isis at Bibiyat el-Hagar. Bibiyat el-Hagar, located in the Garbia Governorate of Lower Egypt, is home to the granite ruins of a temple once dedicated to the goddess Isis. The site, known in antiquity as Iunu, was tied to the worship of Isis as early as the 5th dynasty. However, it wasn't until the 30th dynasty that the temple's construction began under Nectanebo II, later completed during Ptolemy III's reign. Unusually, this temple was made entirely of granite, a material far more difficult to work with than the limestone or sandstone typically used. This choice makes its destruction all the more baffling. While the island temple at Philae became the heart of Isis worship in Upper Egypt, Bibi at el-Hagar served as its Lower Egyptian counterpart. The layout and style followed the traditional cult model, but its solid granite construction and abrupt ruin leave behind more questions than answers. Even in fragments, the structure hints at the spiritual power it once held over the region. In the land of pharaohs, gold, beauty, and power were above the law. Number 11. Lotus Chalice of Tutankhamun. When Howard Carter opened Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, he found treasures that stunned the world. But one piece in particular, the Lotus Chalice, holds quiet elegance among the more famous relics. Also known as the wishing cup, the chalice is carved entirely from a single block of alabaster. Shaped like an open lotus flower, it symbolizes rebirth and eternal life, which makes its placement in the tomb especially fitting. The surface is etched with a personal inscription to the boy king: "May you spend millions of years, you who love Thebes, sitting with your face to the north wind, your eyes beholding happiness." That same blessing was later engraved on Carter's own gravestone when he passed. Though many associate Tutankhamun's tomb with gold and grandeur, this chalice is delicate, poetic, and deeply personal. It wasn't made to impress a crowd, it was meant to accompany a soul. Today it sits inside the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, still echoing the soft wishes carved into its surface over 3,000 years ago. Number 10. Ancient Tombs at al-Bahri. Number 9. Ancient Hieroglyphics at Old Dongola. In March 2023, archaeologists from Poland unearthed something remarkable at Old Dongola in Sudan: over 100 white sandstone blocks, inscribed with ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Old Dongola, once the capital of the Nubian kingdom of Makuria, sits along the eastern bank of the Nile. Though the city reached its height between the 9th and 11th centuries, these blocks date much further back, to Egypt's 25th dynasty, also known as the Nubian dynasty. Experts believe the hieroglyphic-covered stones were once part of a temple built in the first half of the first millennium BCE. This find doesn't just add a layer to the site's story, it pushes the known history of Old Dongola back by over 1,000 years. It also strengthens the link between Egypt and ancient Nubia. Since excavation is still ongoing, more revelations may follow. For now, though, these hieroglyphics serve as one of the earliest traces of complex human activity in the region, and a super-duper powerful reminder that history always has more to reveal. Number 8. Tarkan dress. Well, it is more important than what it looks. Found in 1912 by Egyptologist Flinders Petrie, the Tarkan dress is the oldest woven garment ever discovered, an astonishing piece of clothing that dates back more than 5,000 years. It was uncovered in a First Dynasty tomb at the ancient Tarkan cemetery just south of Cairo. Petrie assumed it belonged to the same era as the tomb, but it wasn't until carbon dating tests decades later that its true age was confirmed, between 5,200 and 5,400 years old. Made from finely woven linen, the dress is incredibly well preserved for its age, which is remarkable considering how quickly textiles usually deteriorate. It's not just the oldest woven dress, it's the oldest piece of clothing of its kind that still exists in physical form. Its survival offers rare insight into early textile craftsmanship, fashion, and societal norms. While it doesn't prove Egypt invented weaving, it shows they had already mastered the skill with an elegance that speaks across the millennia, thread by thread. They were normal people, just like you and I. Number 7. Children Sips Footprints in Pi Ramesses. In 2017, archaeologists working in the ruins of Pi Ramesses, the ancient capital of Pharaoh Ramesses II, found something oddly personal: the preserved footprints of young children. Pressed into the floor of an old mortar pit, the prints were left by children likely between 3 and 5 years old. Scattered nearby were fragments of ancient painted plaster, though the two elements don't appear to be directly connected. The paintings may have been placed there intentionally, but the reasons behind it remain unclear. What really puzzles researchers is why children were ever in the pit to begin with. At that age, they wouldn't have been part of a labor force, and punishment seems unlikely. Some have speculated a ceremonial or ritual function, but no clear evidence supports that theory. The prints remain frozen in time, outlasting the palaces and walls around them. Whatever the truth is, those tiny steps offer a rare and haunting reminder of daily life, one we're still struggling to understand. Well, life is not fair, and this find proves it. Number 6. Bathhouse at Berenike. Roughly 2,200 years ago, during Egypt's Hellenistic period, the coastal town of Berenike was heavily influenced by Greek culture. That influence is crystal clear in the remains of a massive bathhouse found there in late 2022. The structure included 2 large rooms containing 14 bathtubs each, likely filled with either cold or lukewarm water. Those wanting a hot bath would have entered a separate, enclosed space. Water for the baths was supplied by 2 artificial reservoirs, both fed by the same well. At the western edge of the complex, a building possibly used as a gymnasium adds another layer of intrigue, though its exact purpose is still debated. During this period, Berenike functioned as a military hub, even housing units with East African war elephants. The scale of the bathhouse suggests it was built for soldiers, offering them comfort and ritual cleansing between campaigns. While the elephants didn't bathe here, the troops certainly did, enjoying a rare moment of calm in a city shaped by war and empire. Number 5. Kerker Rock Art. The Kerker Rock Art, located on sandstone cliffs near the Upper Nile floodplain, contains engraved scenes of birds, animals, and humans. While the art was discovered in 2005, its true age was confirmed through a process called optically stimulated luminescence, or OSL dating, in 2011. Researchers found wind-blown sediment trapped within the carvings, and based on this, dated the art to at least 15,000 years ago. Some experts argue it might be even older, perhaps closer to 17,000 or even 19,000 years. This makes it the oldest known Pleistocene art in North Africa. What's truly remarkable is how the site was preserved. Sediment remained locked into the grooves of the artwork only because a heavy sandstone layer shielded it from erosion. Without that natural barrier, this window into prehistoric creativity would have been erased by time. These ancient carvings aren't just art, they're evidence of storytelling and symbolic thinking from a culture that predates agriculture by thousands of years. What do you think about it? Number 4. Dahshur boats of Senusret III. Near the pyramid of Senusret III at Dahshur, French archaeologist Jacques de Morgan uncovered a fleet of ancient funeral boats between 1894 and 1895. These wooden vessels were once used to carry the pharaoh's body along the Nile before being hauled by sledges to his burial site. Each boat measures around 30 feet long and is crafted from cedar wood with white painted decks and green or yellow hulls. Although 6 boats were initially reported, only 4 are known today. 2. The Carnegie and Chicago boats reside in American museums, while the red and white boats were moved from the Cairo Museum to the Sharm el-Sheikh Museum. The sledges that carried the boats over land were buried beside them, reinforcing their ceremonial role in royal funerals. These vessels weren't just for transport, they represented the journey into the afterlife, a key part of Egyptian burial tradition. The craftsmanship and preservation of these boats make them a vital piece of Middle Kingdom history. Number 3. Temple of Kom-Ombo. The Temple of Kom-Om stands out not just for its design, but for the secrets it held beneath its foundation. Excavations revealed hundreds of mummified crocodiles buried under the temple, finally explaining the abundance of crocodile imagery carved into its walls. Built during the Ptolemaic period, the temple was structured as 2 separate halves, one side dedicated to the crocodile god Sobek, and the other to the falcon god Horus. Each section had its own court, hall, sanctuary, and entrance, which was highly unusual for temples of that time. The crocodile murals earned it the nickname House of Crocodiles, but for years their purpose remained unclear. The discovery of the mummified reptiles added real meaning to what was once seen as decorative. Even more curious are the detailed engravings of surgical tools, some of the oldest known depictions in the world. Whether this temple served as both a medical center and a place of worship remains unproven, but the duality at its core is undeniable. Alright, now, let's move to number 2. The Osirian, at Abydos. Behind the temple of Seti I Sem in Abydos lies the Osirian, a mysterious megalithic structure that continues to intrigue archaeologists. Built at a much lower level than the surrounding temple, its construction style stands apart from typical Egyptian architecture. The site features massive stone blocks, trilithons, tight seams between stones, and an unusual absence of circular columns, aside from what's seen at the Valley Temple in Giza. A central stone island is surrounded by a shallow basin, likely once filled with water with chambers on either side. Access was through a long stone-lined passageway. Flinders Petrie and Margaret Murray excavated the Osirian in the early 1900s, but even today debate continues about its exact purpose. It's thought to have been part of Seti's funerary complex or a symbolic underworld representation, perhaps tied to the cult of Osiris. Inscriptions from Seti I Sem in Tepiz found throughout the structure point to his reign, but the architectural contrast fuels ongoing speculation about its origins and intent. Number 1. Botanical Garden of Thutmose III. Tucked inside the Temple of Amun-Re at Karnak lies a structure unlike any other in ancient Egyptian history, the Botanical Garden of Thutmose III. Built around 3,400 years ago during the New Kingdom, the complex consists of 3 rooms, with the largest serving as the garden sanctuary. Entry was unusual. A high-set calcite door led into the garden via a staircase. Inside, Sphinx statues lined the walls, and carvings depicted ceremonial scenes of gods and pharaohs. But what truly sets this sanctuary apart are the detailed engravings of exotic plants and animals. These weren't random, they were specimens Thutmose III personally collected during his military campaigns, brought back as both trophies and treasures. The garden's walls served as a living record, documenting the biodiversity of lands far beyond Egypt's borders. Sculpted into the stone, these species offered a botanical snapshot of the ancient world, and a glimpse into the pharaoh's vision of empire, nature, and power united in sacred space. Well, we really hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please like it, share it, and smack that subscribe button for more fascinating content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.